And we're just gonna get to these first three players because they're basically the first three picks. And I'll let Coach John go first. We could discuss Bryce Young and what the Panthers selected.
Yeah, so I think we talked about this when we talked about our quarterbacks and fantasy rankings and all that is, for fantasy, I had CJ Stroud ahead of Bryce Young, but obviously from a running an offense and operating an offense standpoint, you got to take Bryce Young 101. He is such a plug and play pro. Now the question with Carolina is, can we figure out everything else? Because I think we have a competent quarterback that can move pieces around, and you saw them address wide receiver a little bit later. They hope Terrence Marshall takes a step forward. So, you hope Miles Sanders does some damage. They have a good offensive line. Their run game was solid last year. You just hope Bryce Young accelerates that passing game. So I love the pick, and I think he's going to be a great star. The Texans taking CJ Stroud, to me, I like the pick. A lot of people were shocked by it, but I love it. I think he is another one. He's basically an accurate, big, bodied quarterback that can move outside the pocket, showed it at rare occasions. And so I think that's to take him at the 102 means that the Texans are invested. They're really invested in this player. They're going to see what they got. I think they have some work to do on their line, but they have some competent pieces in Nico Collins, and they added Devin Singletary, who can catch passes out of the backfield. And Dameon Pierce, who looked to be a solid runner when everything was going his way. So I think both players, the 101, 102, fall into interesting situations. If I'm in a single quarterback format, I'm probably not taking them till like the back of the first, middle of the first. But super flex format, I'm okay taking either one of these guys 101 based on preference. And then Anthony Richardson to the Colts is crazy because we always considered this to be the Colts were almost like a win now situation where I would have thought if CJ Stroud fell to the Colts, that would have made more sense because he is a out of the box accurate pro. Anthony Richardson needs a little bit more work. And so how does he develop with the Colts? That'll be very interesting to me. I think he is certainly we talked about it, a swing for the fence, freak athlete kind of guy. And if he can figure out some of these accuracy issues, he could be crazy dynamic in that offense with him and Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman. And, if all things start to fall into place, could be really fun. But it's much more of to me, a wild card. But in Superflex rookie drafts in that format, I would, obviously you got your Bijan and then, probably Bryce Young 102. You could make a case for Anthony Richardson because there is a lot of talent in that kid if he does hit. So I think all three land in good situations. It was just interesting to see the Colts make that pick because he does seem like more of a developmental guy. And I feel like the Colts could have taken someone who could just operate an offense and probably sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was basically close to what we were going to expect. Obviously, the Panthers taking Bryce Young, we knew that for the last few weeks now. He should be a really good fantasy quarterback eventually. I don't know if it's going to be coming right away. He obviously doesn't have the weapons at the moment to really help him succeed. But Frank Wright knows how to keep quarterbacks good, not great. And if they can just get some talent around him, he's already an accurate quarterback. He just needs to be protected. And if he does, he'll be great for this franchise. It just depends how much they're willing to protect him and how they're going to develop this offense to fit his skill sets to the best of his abilities. CJ Stroud, definitely everyone thought the Texans were off quarterback, and clearly they were not. Stroud goes to Houston here, a very strong passing kind of quarterback here. He's not a mobile guy. He's not a big runner, but he's a very accurate downfield thrower kind of quarterback. Probably one of the best quarterback throwers in this class here in terms of accuracy and power strength combined. I mean, the weapons will come as the time comes on. They actually got a couple guys in this draft I really did like that we'll talk about at some point. So, I mean, I like this pick as well. And, of course, Anthony Richardson, I think John kind of said it best. I mean, they could have went a different direction with Will Levis or something like that and maybe went for more of a this year thing. But it really does seem like the Colts are really trying to hit that restart button, develop Anthony Richardson, kind of what Shane Steichen helped do with Jalen Hurts the last few seasons here now, and get him to up to speed where he can be a true dual threat kind of player because he has the tools. And I think I mentioned this early on, I think on a podcast, it was that he has all the shiny things that you would want in a car, like the Ferrari doors, the lights and everything, but the engine just needs to be worked on a little bit there. And if they can get the engine running smoothly, he's going to be elite for the Colts there. And they continue to add weapons around there. And they have a lot of weapons for him too as well. Stroud is probably the fourth option for me. It's either between Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson in terms of the 1 or 2, because BJ Robinson is definitely the 101 still, and we'll talk about him soon. I've seen so far in drafts that Richardson's gone 102. I've seen Bryce Young's gone 102. Consistently for me, it's probably depends on what I need at quarterback, either stability or upside, how I do my picks there, but probably Richardson, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud are probably in somewhat of that order for me.
Oh, very interesting. And I also like to mention that Shane Steichen did work with Justin Herbert too, so like, he has a little long list going for him with quarterbacks that he kind of made flourish in the NFL. So I'm definitely intrigued by Anthony Richardson. And then we're gonna go into